Okay, so update. Jeff and I are officially trying to have a third baby, and it's an interesting experience for sure. Were not like we were not trying, but we were so happy about them and they were huge blessings. But now it's like the first time we're actually trying. So anyway, my skin has been breaking out so much the past, like, I don't know, almost week, and I feel like maybe that's a sign I'm pregnant. I don't know, but did a pregnancy test this morning, but I didn't look at it, so I'm about to look at it now. Okay, another day, another pregnancy test. We'll see. I haven't looked at it. I'm gonna look. And it's negative again. Okay, so what do we think? Is this positive or not positive? I know that, maybe you can really see it in like the camera. You can kind of see it, I guess. Like it's like the faintest line. Why can you? This camera's not good. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. I'm so happy. I have been praying for a third baby, and I'm just so happy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So, wow. Okay, so, oh man. Okay, so I have to think of I haven't told Jeff yet. I need to think of a cute way to tell him. Let me like put it in the light. See? Yeah, you can see it. It's a second line there. Don't know if you're a boy or a girl yet. Don't know if or what your if I don't know what your name will be. Oh my, I'm so excited. And I think I did a calculator, and I think I'm due like on William's birthday. So, oh my, wow. So we're gonna have 3 that are 3 and under. Oh my stars.
Is there something there?
You know, it is positive. It's positive. It's definitely positive. Yeah. You don't see that? No. It's positive for sure. Oh, are you happy? It's not. It's positive.
What? Shepherd, are you excited to have another baby? Are you excited to have another baby in our family? Oh yeah, we gotta clean up. Are you excited to have another baby in our family? Do you want it to be a boy baby or a girl baby? Oh, we gotta take the animals out for the
Girl.
You want it to be a girl baby? A baby sister? Okay, we'll have to wait and see.
This is obviously not the video that I thought it would become. I had thought that the last thing that I was waiting on for all those clips was just to find out if it was a boy or a girl, and then I was gonna post this fun like announcement video and have all those memories for, you know, expecting baby number 3. And so anyway, so how the past few weeks have gone has been, I was almost 12 weeks and my doctor and we had a scheduled appointment for 12 weeks, 4 weeks after the or like, you know, a 1 week short of 12 weeks, 4 weeks after my 8-week appointment. And we were gonna do the NIPT labs then, and that tells you like baby's gender and if there's anything like majorly wrong with their chromosomes and all that stuff. And so I've done it with both boys before, and we found out as soon as we could. We did it like right at 10 weeks. You can do it as early as 10 weeks. There's at that point in time, there's typically enough of the baby's blood circulating through my bloodstream where they can take my blood and they can like figure out which cells are the baby's blood cells, and then they can run diagnostic testing on those cells and give you a sense of like if everything looks normal and good, and or if you need to do further testing. And they also would tell you the gender. And so I was really just waiting to get those results back and be able to say like, oh, it's a boy or it's a girl, because I just felt so strongly though that it was another boy. And so I ended up waiting to do those until my 12-week appointment because I didn't feel a rush to go do it at 10 weeks and go for like a nurse visit and do the blood test. And I just did it at the 12-week visit and said I can be patient and wait on the results. And so we went to my 12-week visit. They did not do an ultrasound, but they did a Doppler, and baby's heart rate was like 140 something, and it sounded great. And I just felt like, great, baby's doing great. I'm 12 weeks, like everything is progressing. You know, if you're gonna have a miscarriage, you expect that it probably is gonna happen before 12 weeks if it's gonna happen. And so when you hear like, oh, we've made it to 12 weeks and then the baby has a heartbeat and it sounds normal and everything looks good, and you just have no reason to, you know, to think that anything is gonna go wrong, and you just feel like, okay, we're in the safe zone now. And so that's how I was feeling. And then after that appointment and check in, and you know, they ask you if you have any falls or anything. No falls, nothing weird, no spotting, no weird cramping or anything. And I went to the labs. They did the labs. I asked how long it's going to take. They said about a week. We hadn't gotten it back in a week, and so I called my doctor and I said, hey, you know, how long does it take to get the Q-natal lab back? And which is the NIPT labs that I was really specifically wondering about. All my other labs looked great, no issues with me, or you know, nothing seemed weird. And she said, oh, well, it'll probably be about 2 weeks. And so I was being patient again. Monday of last week rolls around, and I think at that point in time it'd been like 11 days or something since I had done the blood test. And I finally got an email from Quest saying that the results were ready. They were ready in my Quest rather than my chart, which was weird. But anyway, so I log into Quest and it says something that is called low fetal fraction. And so basically there wasn't enough of the baby's blood in my bloodstream or in the sample to do the tests. And so all the tests were like, these are the tests not performed, and it's just a list of all of them. And we didn't know the gender, and we didn't have any of those tests done, like nothing. They just said like, there's not enough of the baby's blood in your bloodstream. So it's like, what the heck? I've waited 2 weeks for this, and like, just for it to come back with a no result. So I started Googling what does that mean, and that typically will happen like if you're testing too early, which like I said, I was about 2 weeks later than I could have done the test, so I knew I wasn't too early. 2, if you're obese, which I'm not obese, I've definitely gained some weight in the past few weeks, but over the course of that pregnancy, but I'm, you know, not even close to obese. And then 3 was like if there's something really wrong with the pregnancy, and or like there is like a chromosomal abnormality that can cause low fetal fraction. And so I started to get really like worried about that something was wrong, because, you know, if you're given 3 options and 2 of them you don't meet the criteria, you're like, it must be option number 3. And so anyway, I told my family, I told my husband, my mother-in-law, like some other people, and everyone kind of was just talking me through and trying to say like, oh, stay hopeful, it could just be a fluke. And my doctor was out that day that I got the results, so I called the office. I went back the next morning and did a redraw of that same test, basically get a new sample, try again with the lab test. And my doctor called me after I had done the redraw and said to him, sorry, I was out yesterday, I just want to talk through it with you. Basically confirmed like, yeah, like, you know, the more likely candidate is basically that something is wrong chromosomally with the pregnancy or with the baby, and or that like it's a lab tech issue and they did the blood draw wrong, or like the blood draw somehow was like tainted, or like they left it in the heat and it spoiled or something before the test or whatever. And she was like, I really like don't typically see that happen to just one person. Like if that happens, it's probably 3 or 4 of my patients that all did the test around the same time, and it's you know, it's a pattern, and you can see that, and that wasn't the case right now, that it was just me. And so so I had this like, just, I don't know, like really dejected kind of mood, thinking like, please let everything be okay, let it be a fluke. Like I was thinking like, God, why are all my pregnancies so hard? I feel like every single pregnancy has like this dark cloud associated with it, and like, why can't this one just be the easy one? And anyway, so I was just in like a weird emotional place, feeling really stressed, but trying not to get too worked up, because I know that I can sometimes, especially like in medical situations, I think like be like expecting the worst, and I think it's so that if it happens, like I'm not as disappointed, which doesn't work. I'm always just as disappointed. But anyway, so just setting my expectations really low. And so that was last Wednesday, and that I was feeling all those feelings and being really stressed out about it. And then Thursday of last week, I was supposed to have a transfer of care. I was 14 weeks, and I was supposed to have a transfer of care visit to the high-risk doctor, because like I said, my previous pregnancies have had some complications, and you know, this one would be no different. And so I was going to transfer to a high-risk doctor, and was excited for that. But that being said, it would be the first appointment with that doctor, and so they had an ultrasound planned, and then they had the visit with the doctor to be right after the ultrasound. And so I show up, you know, it's a normal morning, like always. My appointment's in the afternoon, so I'm working in the morning, just a normal work day, nothing special. I got a salad from Potbelly for lunch on the way to the doctor, and then went over to the doctor. I'm sitting in the waiting room just watching Netflix on my phone and thinking like, okay, we get to go see baby, a little extra, like it's a little treat. We get an extra little ultrasound that most people don't get, like, you know, whatever. I'm just excited because everyone loves seeing their baby. And like 14 weeks, they're starting to really take shape, and you can like kind of make out their features, and like you can see they've got a little nose, and they've got like their arms and legs and their body, and like, you know. And so so we go into the ultrasound, and I, you know, lift my shirt up, she puts the thing on my stomach, and then immediately scans over the baby in the ultrasound, and I just saw like no movement. And you know, they're always like kicking. they're always kicking their little legs and waving their arms, and like, you know, it's funny because you can't feel them moving around so much, but they're just typically like throwing a little party in the air, and there was no movement at all. And I was just like, what? Like, what is going on? Why is my baby asleep? Like, why is my baby not moving? And she kind of went over the baby and started to look at like other things and check the uterine cavity and all that or whatever. And I was like, hang on, wait a minute, can you go back and like, is the baby moving? And she's like, oh well, we'll go back to baby in just a minute, I have to check you. And I was like, well, no, like the baby wasn't moving, like I need to go see the baby. And she's like, well, see the baby in a minute, I need to check you. And I was like, well, can you tell me, is the baby's heart beating? I knew at that point, like, she wasn't going back to the baby. I could tell something was wrong. Like, I knew I didn't see any movement. And this, like, just panic had set in. And, she said, because you asked, I'll tell you, I did not see a heartbeat. Because, you know, the technicians are not supposed to say anything. And so I said, can I call my husband? I'm shaking, I'm crying so much. She can't like even do the ultrasound. She's like, okay, you can call him in just a minute. I need you to try to breathe, try to be still so that we can finish checking everything. And I couldn't, like, I'm shaking, crying, and so anyway, she just gets done with that, and she said she's gonna go get the doctor. She asks me if I want a picture for closure. I said yes. And so they like, she sends it to me in the system, it'll text it to my phone, and at that point I called my husband and I told him the baby's not alive anymore. And he's like, wait, what? Like, what did you say? And I said, the baby's not alive anymore. And can't remember a lot after that, but yeah, he said, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm so sorry. And I just thought, like, there were 1,000 things that started to go through my mind that I thought like I should have done differently, and that it was my fault, and I just didn't understand how this could be happening. Like, I was in shock. And yeah, like, it just all ended. It was so suddenly. It was like 1 second he was fine, the next he wasn't, and the baby was measuring 14 weeks in 1 day. And so the doctor, so I was like, so this happened today, basically, or like this happened like just now. When the doctor came in, he said, yeah, there's not much swelling. I guess the babies start to swell after they pass away as time goes on, and he said there's not really any swelling, so he thought it happened that day or maybe the day before. And I just felt like what if my appointment had been 1 day before, like, because there no, like, I know there's nothing that could have been done, but you know, you just want to go back in time and change history and like rewrite everything, and that's just not possible. So so instead of doing a new visit with a new doctor who's a high-risk doctor, I they called over to my normal doctor who's just right across the street, and had me go back over and talk to her, and she was really sympathetic and walked me through basically what the next steps were, and told me that I could wait until my body realized that the baby had passed away, and try to like naturally, you know, give birth to the baby that way, and or I could induce labor, and she said it would be like a misoprostol induction or something, and birth the baby. And she said that both of those were really risky, more risk of infection. She wouldn't recommend them for me in my specific situation, my medical history and stuff. So she said that the third option she would probably recommend, and she thinks is the safest option, safest option for me is to do a D&E, which is similar to a D&C, but it's when you're further along, then I guess a D&C can be done for you. So she said that because I was so far along, I was kind of right after the mark of anyone at that hospital that like knew how to do that or handle a baby that's that big. And so she referred me to a different doctor. I went with the D&E procedure because I just wanted to choose the safest option, and they got me in the next day, which was last Friday. So tomorrow it'll have been 1 week, and I was put under general anesthesia, and before they did the procedure on Friday morning night, because Thursday night I was praying to God that he would bring the baby back to life and have it have been like that the ultrasound machine wasn't working or something like that. And so when we went on Friday morning, I asked them to do another ultrasound, and the baby was obviously still not alive. And the doctors assured me that there's nothing that I did that caused this, and because I was struggling with so much guilt, and they think that because of the low fetal fraction that came back on the NIPT that there's something chromosomally wrong. So we did have them do, or we're having them do, genetic testing on the remains. We ended up naming the baby Jonah after all this happened on Thursday night last week, and told Shepherd what happened, and because he was well aware he was going to have another baby sibling, and we told our families, and we explained to Shepherd that the doctors think baby Jonah was sick, and that baby Jonah went to go be in heaven with Jesus, and that baby Jonah is safe and loved and warm and happy in heaven, and that we are gonna have to wait to see baby Jonah until we get to heaven. And Shepherd said, I don't want baby Jonah to be in heaven. I want Jesus to give the baby back to me. And I said, I want that too, but that we're gonna have to wait. But that the baby is safe and loved and warm and held, and that Jesus is going to take really good care of the baby. And so we're having them do the genetic testing on Jonah's remains, and we'll get those back in, they said it'll be 2 or 3 weeks from the day of the procedure, so it should be another week or two from now, and that'll hopefully give us some answers about if there was something chromosomally wrong, that's what we're kind of hoping for, so that there's nothing else like underlying going on with me, like potentially some autoimmune things that could have caused this. And so that is the hope, and we'll just wait and see, take it one day at a time. It's getting like 1% easier, I guess, every day. So I have hope that eventually I won't just cry all the time when I think about it. The hardest parts were the first time you realize, like, oh, the baby won't be with us when we go to the rodeo next year. The baby won't be with us when we go to the beach next year. And like, the baby won't need their own room, so we don't need to move William in with Shepherd. And just like the first time that all those things set in is extremely painful. But I think the past few days, our friends and family have been praying for us so much. I've been praying so much. Initially, I had a lot of feelings of anger towards God. I was very upset. Like, how could you have let this happen? Why? You know. And eventually, I've been able to move past that. I have so much belief that I feel so strongly that baby Jonah is with Jesus right now. I feel like I can confidently say that, because despite Jonah not necessarily knowing Jesus personally and having a relationship with him, we know God is compassionate and loving, and that he can bring anyone into heaven who he wants. And so I believe that that compassion would extend to baby Jonah and other babies who pass away before they're born. And so I just have so much faith that that's true. And I realized through that yes, Jesus loves Jonah so much, even more than I do. And also Jesus loves me that much too. And Jesus is going to also take care of me too. So that's really helped with having hope and believing that things are going to be okay. So anyway, in the past few days, I've been really trying to, I want to feel like I understand what God is doing here and how this is part of his plan. And like, I'm really looking for things, and I think those will take time to reveal themselves. I feel like there's some things that I can already see that I'm confident God is working, but I think that it'll take a lifetime, and we won't know until we're there with Jesus, all of the ways. So all of his ways. So yeah, it was without a doubt the worst day and days of my life. To me, the words pregnancy loss are not nearly enough to describe this. Like, it's not a pregnancy loss. Like, my baby died, and that's just devastating. My child, it's a loss of a child. And I understand why people say pregnancy loss, because it's like you have to say something to distinguish, I guess, between your children who are here, like breathing and functioning and on their own and all of that. But to me, it was as crushing as like had any of my other two children passed away. And another, I guess, thing one of my doctors told me is that if there was something chromosomally wrong, then the pregnancy was doomed from the beginning. And that that sounds really like morbid and sad, but it brings me comfort to know that Jonah never had to like
be born and have insurmountable medical issues, or be in pain, or have fear. He just quietly passed, and so we keep a picture now of him here. This is the ultrasound. This is what I saw when I saw that he wasn't moving. And at first, looking at this picture was very traumatic, because it just took me right back to that moment where I realized he wasn't alive anymore. But now I look at it and I see my baby peacefully having gone on to go be with Jesus, and he's in a much better place. So, and I know I'll get to hold this baby one day. So anyway, it's still very fresh and sad, but we have definitely some hope. We are going to try again. I am praying every day that God will give us another baby, and I'll just be so grateful. I am so grateful for the 2 he's already given us, and for the 3rd. And we'll just be so grateful for any subsequent children that we might be given. So